A hearty good afternoon to everyone. We have today with us Ashish, who is a managing director at Nagaro, and he focuses on post-merger integration and sustainability. Previously, he's worked at a number of organizations across different spheres, most notably uh, General Mills, where he kind of worked at the starting of his career, and Capgemini, where he worked as a consultant. And after his second MBA from Stanford, he kind of first MBA, sorry, my bad. After his MBA from Stanford, he kind of came back and started working in the education sector as well. So I think he would be able to bring in a very differential perspective on how we need to think about sustainability. And I look forward to this amazing discussion with Ashish. So, very good afternoon, Ashish, and welcome to Akadru for this discussion on sustainability.
Good afternoon, Abhishek, and thank you for having me here.
Great. So, Ashish, the first question and the most important one is to probably share nuggets from your own life, especially the professional journey, and give us insights in terms of how you've been able to come to this point and start focusing on sustainability in ways more than one.
Sure. Thanks, Abhishek. So, I have about 2 decades of work experience, and as you mentioned, I've worked in various sectors: technology, manufacturing, retail, and also in the social sector with higher education. Um, and I would say that the world is constantly evolving, and the most important thing is to continuously reinvent yourself. If you have been successful today and if you're doing a very good job today in a certain space, it does not mean that tomorrow will be as successful, or in fact, even the fact that that skill that you used will still be relevant. Technology is changing a lot of things. The way the world is evolving, um, and the kind of questions that you need to answer, and the kind of ambiguity that you need to go through is tremendous. What has worked best for me is uh, to be able to take a hard look at what I am doing every couple of years and saying that, is that still something that I would like to continue to do? Is there a new skill that makes sense for me to build? And then starting to build that knowledge, that experience, and then positioning myself for the next role.
Yeah, that's hard for someone who's probably a youngster to understand, because I think as a young person, you're constantly learning. You are in that structured environment of a school or a college. So maybe can you
Right.
unpack this for us as to taking a hard look at whosoever you are and maybe reassess your skill map and kind of try to reinvent that, which is what you said. So if you could unpack it for us, we could probably benefit more from that.
Sure. So let's say you're a person who is very interested today in math,
Hmm.
right? Or engineering is something that ignites your passion, and you're working in it, and you're able to, let's say, solve the most complex problem in engineering or in mathematics. What will be very good is if you can now start to think, what is a practical problem that is relevant today that I can solve? And since this discussion is about sustainability, and I live in Gurgaon, right? So for me, it is, if I look around myself and if I say that, oh, air pollution is the biggest issue in the city that we live, what can I do about it? How can I use my skills to solve that problem? Is there a new skill that I need to learn? Is there more about the subject matter that I can learn? So one is being always aware of your environment, where you are, and also how your skills can help be relevant for that environment and for the need that is today, that people are really concerned about and care about.
Mhm.
If if you keep thinking about something that you have done 2 years, 3 years, 5 years before, and you want to build on that, that's fine. But if it is not relevant for people in the context that they live in today, then you might want to rethink it. So that's how I would explain it, that it's important that you're always relevant for what your environment demands.
Hmm. It makes a lot of sense, Ashish. Thank you for that. In fact, at Akadru, our key focus has been to build about interest in the forefront space of a person's career and education thinking. So we say that you identify your interest and follow a pathway in which you consume content around things that are interesting to you. And once you have
Right.
established different connections across different content areas, you could dial into and commit to projects which would help you develop long term skills, which would hopefully lead to sustainability of career options for you. So I
Yeah.
think this rings very true for me and for our viewers who would be able to identify with this. But building upon this a little further, um, and thinking about future careers and the ones that are going to be more durable. So I would ask you to put your future hat on and think about what careers would be relevant, let's say 15, 20 years from now, and which ones would probably not exist, which we see quite prevalent today.
So I think all careers which are about keeping the end-to-end system or solution in mind will be very relevant, right? So what has happened, at least for our generation, Abhishek, we have always focused on a very narrow part. You're very good at marketing, or you're very good at electrical engineering, or you're very good at computer science engineering. So what I see that the world is moving towards is, can you talk to me about the whole stream, the whole story, the whole solution? Can you
Mm,
think about the exact problem? Can you think about what are the causes for that problem? Can you think about how can you solve it using different pieces of knowledge and information? So for example, we all see a drone today, and we see that as the latest technology around us. But a drone is actually a mechanical engineer, a computer science engineer, an electronics engineer, all of them putting their skills together and getting that one robot flying in the air. So any time you are using a variety of skills, you are using your creativity, you're not thinking in terms of okay, I will apply only my psychology skills and try and solve it. uh, then you're going to limit yourself. But if you're going to use multiple, a palette of information, knowledge, skills, then you will always be relevant. And that's where the world is moving towards. And that, to me, is the future, where you start to look at an entire story, an entire picture, and don't break it down into pieces and then wait for somebody else to solve the other piece. That's not how things in the future will look like.
no, this is so well said. And I think it's refreshing to hear this in this age of early specialization, where most people start picking up a stream in a very focused, narrow area of work, and they stick with it for a long time. But that's sure short a recipe for obsolescence, especially in
Yeah.
this current world. So for a young one, let's say a 15-year-old who's not been exposed to such avant-garde thinking and who's still trying to chart out the course for his career, who's been exposed to a variety of subjects but doesn't know about his interest very much, how do you think he could go about it in a practical manner to build this kind of a whole system based thinking and become a holistic orientation to solve problems around him or her?
Right. And Abhishek, actually, you bring up a very good point that if I don't know my interests, so I have a daughter, and she sometimes tells me that, right, that oh, I have so many things that I want to do, but if I have to say, oh, what is my area of interest, I'm not able to define that. So a good way, first of all, is to see what you care about, what are you passionate about, and you can do it yourself, or you can ask people around you, your friends, your siblings, your parents. Like for example, if the water flowing out of the tap is something that is worrying you, and you're like, oh no, I need to go and turn that tap and switch it off. I can't see that light bulb on in that other room. I need to make sure that I'm not drinking out of the plastic water bottle anymore. So when you see a urge in you for something, and you really care about it, that's how you can identify your area of interest. Then that is something which is important to you. And frankly, it doesn't have to be that you have to take interest in a very specific area, that hey, I love dancing, or I love to play the keyboard, or I love mathematics. So it can be about anything that you care, and something that matters to you. To some people, it is old age that matters, that oh, somebody's out there alone, I want to make sure I'm sitting with them, I'm giving them company. To some, like I said, the environment is what drives them today. To some, it is the way the food is getting wasted in the whole supply chain. So first step is actually to identify what calls you out, what drives you. The second thing is that again, see, can you define the exact problem statement? Are you able to say that what do you really care about? When you see that electricity bulb is on in the next room, and you feel the urge to go and quickly shut it off, why? What is the problem? Is it that the electricity bill is going up, and that's your worry? Is it that the coal that is bringing the electricity to our homes, is that your worry? Is it that the air pollution that these power plants are creating, is that your worry? So can you then say, okay, there is too much coal burning in our power plants, how can I reduce that? So you take that as a problem statement for yourself. So that's how you start to zero in on what is the pain area, and then you start to read about it. So don't just say that, oh, I know math, and let me figure out a mathematical way to solve this problem. Be curious to go in and read more and see things and explore information. Um, by the way, the other thing is that it's not that you just read about that specific area. Sometimes your light bulb goes on when you're reading about something else, and you can see that, oh, actually, this could be a very good solution to actually solve this particular problem, or I can actually apply this thinking in this particular context. So if you can, develop your thinking around uh, creative solutions, and not restrict yourself to a particular area, and be okay to explore different things and then arrive at a solution. So diverge before you converge. I think, Abhishek, then as an individual, you're good to go, and that curiosity will make sure that you are building new skills for yourself.
I was smiling, Ashish, because this sounded exactly like the pitch for a Kadru. I mean, this is what we have been saying at a Kadru. Um, and I think I'm so glad that an industry leader like you echoes what we have been thinking about, that you need to build connections across a wide range of topics in and around your interests, and then commit to concerted skill building activity. Diverge before you converge. Very well said, Ashish. Uh, let's take a different perspective to it, and then talk about the practical job creation bit, especially in the sustainability space. It's good to for me to come and tell a youngster, look, there's a pollution problem in your city, the water is getting wasted, the energy factors are not green, or there's a lot of waste that you're dumping in the oceans, and so on and so forth. But do you foresee that enough jobs would be created in this sector uh, in about 15 to 20 years? And if so, I mean, at a young age, apart from building interest, how is it that one could start developing those skills that would get one ready for those jobs?
Right. By the way, it's interesting that Abhishek, you are an entrepreneur and you talk about jobs. So I would love for kids who are hearing this to actually be like you, who create jobs and not just focus on getting a job. But because actually, the more you try and think of just that one role or one job, you're again sort of,
Boxing
narrowing
yourself.
yourself down. Yeah, boxing yourself out. And that is actually not going to be the future, not even in jobs anymore. Nobody can do a job anymore if you're just going to be a specialized person in one area. You're not able to bring other people along. You're not able to work as a team. And but maybe, I mean, like a job of a scientist, maybe, I don't know. If you're a deep researcher in a particular subject, probably those roles are, if you're an astronaut, maybe then you are more of an individual contributor. But otherwise, understanding other areas, being able to think holistically, is going to be very important. Sorry, I just wanted to touch upon that a little bit. But to your question on sustainability, I think there will be many career opportunities in that space. There are today, and there will continue to be. The reason is that anywhere you go today, climate change is talked about a lot, right? And why is this a particular issue? Because we have actually, as mankind, spoiled the ecosystem that we are in, be it air, water. And there is a need to make sure that the externalities that have come from the work that we have done, from the factories that we have opened, is from the cars that we drive, that has to be taken care of. And this has come after centuries of spoiling the environment. And at least I would say for the next half a century, these jobs, these career opportunities are actually not going anywhere. What will be good though is if you start to think about what exactly within sustainability, because sustainability is a very vast topic. You can think of the ecosystem that you are in, so environmental issues. You can think about the cities or the towns that you live in, so civic issues. You can think about the farmlands, so agricultural issues. So sustainability is very wide. So, what issues or what problems do you want to go after? What do you want to solve? And first, like I said before, start with understanding, are you really passionate? Are you doing something in that space at your home itself? So, that is the first inkling that you get that, yes, this is an area of interest. And if that is what you see, then the second step is to look around within your neighborhood itself. Can you create a green neighborhood? Can you promote the use of cycling amongst your friends? If you see waste burning somewhere, can you report that? Can you take a bottle of water, and if it's a small fire that's burning, can you douse it off with water? So start, once you're doing things at home, start looking at your neighborhood. The reason is, I say this, Abhishek, is that one is, textbook learning or watching videos and knowing things from others. The second is to actually be on the ground, see things in action, try and understand what is going on around you. And then come back, I would say, to the videos, to the textbooks, and see how can I actually go about understanding this topic in a better way, and then I actually solve it. So step out and get involved and get engaged. That is going to be very important in building the skills, in honing yourself into actually not just in this space of career, in any career space. Don't wait for that job to come to you. Don't wait to get the title. Don't wait for somebody to say now you can do it. You can actually do it right away. If you want to do marketing, if you want to do creative work, nothing stops you from starting right now.
This makes a lot of sense. And I think you're laying out a process framework of sorts, saying that you start off by building your interest and then start doing those small bits of experiences and practical work, which kind
Yes.
of cement your learning in that space, and then go all out in terms of seeking out those jobs actively rather
Right.
than passive
Right.
about it.
Yeah.
And let me ask you a difficult question here. So if because what I hear in this space, and a lot of my viewers, students, even professionals come back to me whenever I talk to them about sustainability and say that, look, all of this talk is good, but look, this is India and nothing realistically get done in this country. How how practical would they be to think about sustainability as career options realistically in the next 10 to 15 years? Do you think this is all good talk and probably little jobs, or do you think really there would be jobs and action on the ground? I mean, for example, we have been talking about this air quality index for like what 16 of the world's most top 20 world's most polluted cities are in this country. And we haven't been able to do much about it. The water table is depleting across pretty much all the places in this country. And then numerous other problems related to environment or sustainability living. Plus, we have a population of what 1.3 billion people to take care of. So, how realistic it is in the current situation and the geopolitical environment of this country to talk about sustainability?
Right. I see where you're coming from, Abhishek, but I would say that people in India are getting very serious about this. Yes, there have been challenges, and yes, there will continue to be a lot of challenges. And that is why your passion is going to be very important, is going to be very critical. Uh, and creative problem solving. See, a lot of people sometimes start to think that, oh, the government is not going to do anything, or given our political system, we will not be able to move anything forward. We have to work with the system. We cannot ignore it. We should not try and shut it down, or we should not just say that it doesn't work. Like any problem, it is about going in and trying to understand what is stopping it. And while we like to believe that, oh, some people, everyone has wrong motives, or the intentions are to question, what you will amazingly realize is a lot of people have all the right intention. In fact, when you talk to government officials, they will say that it is actually the civic people who are, people like you and I, who are actually not doing anything. And they will say that, hey, we make sure that the roads are clean, but then people come and still, throw stuff on the roads. And they still, when we go and be tourists somewhere, when we are out on vacation, what do we do? What's the behavior that we show? So it is actually not so much about the government. And by the way, I'm a big believer that a government is nobody but people like us. It's our representatives, they come from us. So it is actually the thinking that we will bring, the questioning that we will bring. And believe me, if you have the right intention, if you are positive in your approach, if you are actually serious about solving it, if it's just a money making thing for you, if you just want to get into it to make sure that the next 20 years of your life are safe, then you might really want to rethink that, is this a place you want to be? Because this is a long haul. This is a place where you really have to put in effort. You have to make friends. You have to take time to understand the other person's point of view. What is it that the government is going through? What is it that the not for profits are going through? Why are they not able to do it? You will find that the intention is actually very positive. You will find that people actually want to do good work. It's the role of a catalyst that you need to play. Take people along, take the thinking along. It will take time, but it will get there. And you will see this, Abhishek. I mean, China had this problem, New York had this problem, London had this problem. Everyone at some point in their growth phase went through this challenge of very bad air, severe air issues, severe water issues, and they all then turned around. They all had to take some steps, and they, went around and they were able to solve it. And I have a very strong belief that India will absolutely solve it. And 5 years or 10 years from now, when we are having this conversation, we'll be talking about something very different than air pollution, because we would have moved on to a different topic.
Yeah, I certainly hope so. And I think you bring upon a very interesting point. I mean, we got to reach a tipping point of sorts, right? And I think the very reason this problem would probably have many more implications in terms of jobs and people who are solving these problems is because of the magnitude of this problem. I mean, it's a problem which has severe implications in this country, and if we are not sustainable, or if we don't develop sustainability into our thinking, into the designs that we create, the architecture of our cities, the broad construct of rural and the urban centers. I think the way of life as we know it would be under a tremendous pressure. So I, I, I certainly think that much before the tipping point, hopefully, we are able to pull all our acts together and be able to constructively drive the solution making process.
Yeah, you actually make a very good point there, Abhishek. I mean, you have to think local. You have to think the ecosystem you are in. So a lot of times you will see, some buildings, even in Gurgaon, which are made of glass. It just doesn't make any sense. You are in a place where you have summers which are very, very hot, and the sun will shine, and you will then end up having blasting your air conditioners. You really don't need to do that. I mean, be careful, be thoughtful, think about what is it locally available that you can use, and be pragmatic in your approach and in your solutions. Absolutely.
No, this is very well said, and I think I'll pivot this conversation to a slightly different angle. A lot of mid-career executives are also part of our Kadru platform, and they do look at it from the perspective of new ideas that would come from this, explore adjacencies in their careers, and perhaps at a later stage dial into new careers that would excite them. Again, from a sustainability perspective, a mid-career executive, let's say a 35, 40-year-old, if he or she were to make a switch to a sustainable career option, how do you think something like that be possible, if at all?
So, by the way, I am myself a mid-career person who has, moved or is moving towards the sustainability space. Um, I think a lot of times like I mentioned, we tend to wait for something to happen to us, or for somebody to give us that permission. If we start to actually go into whatever is our area of interest, if we start to do work, people recognize that, people realize that. And you can start with your company itself. You can start to bring changes with your colleagues, with the environment you are in, with the office space you are in. And nobody will stop you. If you were to say that, hey, let's make sure that we are recycling our e-waste that we are conductly, generating in our company. Let's understand what the value chain is. Why would anybody say no? Right? If you actually find ways in which that e-waste can be better managed, people will appreciate it. People will respect that. If you are able to get 10 people from your company together and sit and say, okay, let's brainstorm on how can we get more people to segregate waste at homes. Let's motivate those people. Let's help create compost out of the organic waste that they have created. Let's give them best practices to do that. Why would anybody stop you from that, right? So most of it is about show me your actions, and don't just use words like, oh, I want to make a change, I want to do something about the environment, I care about it. I will see it, I will know it if you really care about it, right? And sometimes we are worried, or we wonder what is it that we can do. there are millions of ways in which you can start to make a difference today itself, and by bringing small groups of people together. So don't stop yourself and start moving on the agenda. And people continuously join you, the group gets bigger, people recognize that, and before you know it, you will have a job, or you will have a career in the space of sustainability, not because you asked for it. The reason will be that now you understand the space. You can actually motivate change, you can bring about change, you can take people along, and before you know it, you are a subject matter expert in that space, and people are actually looking at you, that what can we do next about it. So uh, so gain the knowledge, gain the hands-on experience, and keep going at it is what I would suggest.
No, this is excellent advice, and I think the same thing has reverberated in terms of your advice to youngsters as well as mid-career professionals. I mean, you should be persistent about it, and you should be proactive about your search for opportunities in which you can make your presence felt. So
Right.
this is fantastic advice. I know I'm looking at the clock as well, and I think we are at time. But before we conclude, if you have any final broad advice, broad directions to give to our viewers, that would be certainly welcome. Please.
All I'll say is, it is going to be very important what this new generation, that all of you watching this, and I'm going with what Abhishek says, it's mostly people in the 15 to 20-year age group. You are going to be the change. You are people who we are waiting to come into the workforce. We hear you, we already meet you in different forums, we see the kind of passion you have, we see that you are asking questions without being afraid. And so make sure you keep that going. That is going to be very important. Don't worry about how many years of experience somebody you're talking to has. Don't worry about how senior up they are. What matters is the thinking. What matters is the questions you ask, how relevant they are, and do you really care? So that passion in you, that hunger in you needs to continue, and you will actually change a lot of us, and not just the environment, and not just the space that you will get into. So all the best, and I really hope you all do very well in whatever you choose to do.
Thank you so much, Ashish. It was wonderful talking to you. You have a great evening. Bye bye.
Likewise, thanks, Abhishek. Bye bye.